What's something 99% of people do wrong but have no idea? Drive. Apparently, about 80% of drivers think their driving is above average. That could still be accurate if the worst 20% really bring down the average. Honestly, that feels right. I don't notice most drivers, but I definitely notice some. Argue. Modern media has shown us that being loud and throwing accusations around is the best way to argue. The amount of fallacies and angry vibes that I encounter when just trying to make a point is ridiculous. I see or hear a ton of red herring and straw man arguments as well. People not responding to actual claims being made, preferring to go off on tangents they themselves created. And then if they don't get their way immediately, they say you are just trying to win, despite never actually refuting your point or presenting a valid counterpoint. When you make a slight mistake in speech, a technicality, something irrelevant when arguing, and the other person zeroes in on it in an attempt to invalidate what you're saying. Fallacies and persuasive arguments are something I didn't get to thoroughly explore until I took a college course. Meaning that unless you took an AP course in high school for it, most people are likely not graduating high school with the skills required to have an academic discussion. That means that, for the layman watching a debate, the victor of an argument is whoever performed better in optics and populism. Facts don't matter, and that's how we got to where we are today. There's a little stick next to the steering wheel that moves up and down. When you move it, it illuminates a light on the exterior of your vehicle that informs other drivers that you're about to make a turn, reducing the likelihood of a crash. Load dishwashers. When husband or daughter load, it looks like a raccoon on meth did it. I don't complain, I just rearrange. Reading, and I don't mean in general, but for example, when a new law, regulation is being considered, people don't tend to read the original documentation and just go by word of mouth. Same thing applies to policies, etc. It's hard to not be guilty of this. There are so many things we should read, but don't have the time or brain power to read legalese. The scary part is that lots of government officials don't even read the bills they sign. Buddy, I'm a lawyer who spends a hefty portion of my day reading laws and regulations, and I don't trust myself, much less lay people, to properly read and understand every consequential piece of legislation or new proposed rules, to say nothing of analyzing and predicting the interplay it might have with existing laws and regulations, as well as how it would be impacted by existing case law or new judicial opinions. I think it's far better to have knowledgeable people you trust to fairly and accurately distill it down for the average layperson. Please stop putting library books back on the shelf you took them from. It's often better to leave them neatly on a return cart, on a table, or at the front desk depending on your library. We scan books that are used without checkout to add them to our circulation statistics. It helps us prove traffic and learn which items engage the community. Flagging items as used in-house doesn't require identifying information either. It's anonymous. I just always assumed that the "do not reshelve items" sign was because the common person couldn't trust it to put it back in the correct spot. Circulation and use statistics never occurred to me. We need to get this information out to the people. Serious question that will sound snarky: how would anyone but a librarian know about this? Same, I put them back because I know to put them back in the right place and wanted to save them some work, didn't realize it was a statistic they measured. Sometimes there's a return cart with a sign on it. If there aren't signs, staff might just ask the people they see trying to self-reshelve to put them in the preferred location instead. I agree with you, there really ought to be better instructions left out somewhere conspicuous for this. Brush their teeth. They got too hard and it erodes their gums, increasing decay. Guilty of this. Don't use much pressure. Dentists recommend electric toothbrushes now because they do good enough on their own if you just hold them against your teeth with minimal scrubbing action. My electric brush stops working if you push too hard, great indicator. My girlfriend has this issue but with flossing. Dentist had told her she's at risk of a few issues because her gum line is low around her molars and that she should be flossing more. Next visit she's told she's flossing too often and too rough. The hygienist had to go over proper flossing technique with her. Risk assessment. Busy worrying about low probability matters while ignoring high probability ones. If everyone in the US properly assessed risk, they'd be far more scared of cars and sitting and far less scared of things like terrorists, and sharks, for example. When my daughter was a baby, I was afraid of the implications of her receiving several vaccinations all on the same day. I asked the pediatrician if we could spread them out, and she agreed. Later, I realized that we made 3 car trips to the doctor's office when we could have made 1. It was much more likely that we would have been in a car accident than my daughter having a severe reaction to the shots. Interesting. Also 3 times the exposure to potential pathogens in the doctor's office. That's gotta be a close one though, as there may be some real benefit to spreading them a bit. The thing that baffles me the most for driving is when people willingly choose long daily auto commutes for slightly higher pay or ride an e-scooter or bike through traffic every morning. Critical thinking. Have your own thoughts about things that are happening or that you hear about. Connect ideas together, just for funsies, and compare facts with other facts. Critical thinking is when you don't simply take what you receive at face value. People seeing things that you don't aren't overthinking. They're simply thinking their own thoughts. They might be wrong, but it's good to practice anyway. Better than underthinking. Way better than taking everything at face value. I'm looking at my fellow dudes here specifically, but boy is there a thing with not thoroughly washing. I always wondered why it seemed like I could never shower as fast as other guys I knew. It felt like there was some inscrutable life hack that I was missing where one could get fully clean in 30 seconds. Upon digging, I was horrified to discover that a lot of dudes simply don't wash their ass, legs and feet. They just let the soap run down their body and assume it's clean. The scrubbing is the mechanism that makes things clean, and the soap is just there to help the water do its job. And gents, I don't know what the hang-up is with your own butt. Just get up in there and scrub your undercarriage. That's one of the worst areas for odor and bacteria, and it's just so nasty that you'd think cleaning there is gross. But just wetting down the filth and drying off is not. Do better. When my wife and I first lived together, she also noticed that I took long showers, not any longer than her, mind, and she asked about it. I explained that a lot of guys don't clean themselves properly, and I could see a wave of realization about other men before me wash over her. She has had 0 objections to my routine as a result. First time I was in the community shower in Navy boot camp, I saw a guy soap up a washcloth and stick it up his crack and give a good scrub. It was a light bulb moment for me. How you can do that? Years later I made sure to teach my son. It's amazing parents just expect kids to figure out how to clean themselves without actually teaching it. Not getting enough sleep. What freedom of speech actually means. OMG this. Same with discrimination. There was an artist a while back who was screaming discrimination and censorship because some gallery refused to feature his art. Like they still displayed it but just didn't make it the centerpiece and spend promotional dollars on it. It's literally impossible for a company to violate the US First Amendment because it only applies to the government. And beyond that, the existence of the internet makes it even more impossible. You can put up a website and say whatever you want. Facebook and Google have no requirement to amplify your stupidity. Left-hand turns. So many people cut too soon and almost clip you while you're waiting at the red. You should go far enough into the intersection before starting your turn that you are driving straight by the time you pass my car. Driving instructor corrected me on this right away, but too many people never got the memo. You're not supposed to rinse your mouth after brushing your teeth. You want the fluoride to stay on your teeth. You are supposed to rinse your mouth before you brush, though. You want a base pH in your mouth to avoid scrubbing the natural salival acid all over your teeth. Rinse with water before brushing, not after. Merge in road construction areas. They line up single file and create a backup, instead of zipper merging like you're supposed to. Some people will even try to block you from doing it right because they are so stupid. Home maintenance. They either neglect it or do it wrong. Mostly the former, if I had to speculate. Eat. Common knowledge about nutrition seems like more misinformation than not. Eating more basic and really paying attention to how different foods affect you seems to be as helpful as most fancy diets. Adjusting their vehicle's side mirrors. Lose weight. Exercise doesn't matter much, still important. It's all about diet. Calories used must be more calories consumed. Painting their homes. Stop dry rolling the wall for fuck's sake. If you have to push on the roller to get paint out of it, put some more paint on the damn roller. Roll all the way from top to bottom every stroke, or you'll see those random splotches in the sheen after it dries. Stop cutting around plates. take them off and roll right up to the hole. Pull your tape before the paint is cured, or it'll take chunks of paint off your corners when it comes off. People don't listen to instructions or read signs. Hand washing. An alarming amount of people don't know how to wash their hands properly. Putting soap on dry skin and lathering it under the water does absolutely nothing. Your hands are disgusting, please don't come near me. Wear airline neck pillows. The opening is supposed to be in the back. You know where the backrest is, and you don't need more support. By wearing it correctly, your head will not be able to tilt forward and wake you up, since the neck pillow prevents this. So it should be called a throat pillow then? Putting tomatoes in the fridge. Tomatoes contain an enzyme that reacts to cold temperatures, causing the cell membranes to break down and leaving you with a piece of fruit that's mushy and mealy. Peeling a banana from the wrong end. Just watch monkeys, they know better than us. What's something 99% of people do wrong but have no idea? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.